When I first started out exploring wine, I was a server at an Italian restaurant. And a part of my training was learning a wine list of about 80 different wines, which was a mammoth task for somebody who could barely pronounce the word Sauvignon Blanc, never mind Speten Verwachtung Sauvignon Blanc, which I remember was one of the wines on the list. But this journey is not unique to me. Most people starting out in the world of wines feel incredibly intimidated by the sheer variety of cultivars, producers, and styles. And because of this, they tend to stick to what they know or barely venture out and try new things. Well, here to help us bridge our insecurities and ignorance is Dasha, who has a WSET qualification in wine and her very own YouTube channel called My Wine Diary. I'm Thea Beckman, Brainscape's lead wine writer, and this is what you need to know about wine as a newbie. All right, Dasha. So for those people who typically order the house wine off the menu, quite simply because they feel they don't know enough about wine to order anything specific, what advice do you have to help them broaden their horizons and try something new, specifically in the realm of white wine?
Oh, with white wines. Well, the first advice that I would give would actually be not to be afraid to branch out. But, if they already have that fear, then we have to back off there for a second. So when I analyze why people tend to gravitate towards house wines in general, so we're talking about whites right now, I think it could be because of the price tag. Some people just like that it's cheap, right? Then we have maybe the fact that they just don't care. Maybe they just don't like wine enough to venture out and try something new. And the third factor is generally what is the case, and that's the lack of knowledge. So they just don't know. It's intimidating. So I would suggest to try with simple ones. And we have the two simple ones, in my opinion, that you just can't go wrong with. So we have the Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
It's a super easy wine, especially the New Zealand one. I like that one a lot. It's crispy, it's fresh, it's light. Will go good with a lot of foods, especially seafood, so they can venture out and try that one. And then if they want something on a heavier side, maybe they're eating some poultry or light meats, they can try a Chardonnay. That's another very well-known one. It opens up a huge spectrum of taste buds for them to just explore the realm of white wines as well. So I would say that. But in general, I'd say don't be afraid to try something new.
And if
or
you
ask questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you usually have more than one glass of wine with your food, why not try a Sauvignon Blanc and then a Chardonnay? And
exactly.
See how that changes, with the food or how you feel about it. So yeah, that's great. So the same question now, but with red wines. So how would you guide a fledgling red wine lover from the standard everyday house reds to varietals or blends that are a little more interesting?
Oh, and there's so many too.
Okay.
So with red wines, my perception is actually a little bit different. So my opinion is a little bit different. And it's because I sometimes gravitate towards house wines. Now, that doesn't happen too often because usually I know what I want depending on what food I'm eating. But house wines tend to be a lot of fun sometimes. What I do though, I ask for a little sample before I get the full glass because house wines are probably open already anyways. They could usually no problem bring you a little sample of that house wine to try. But what happens with house wines is that a lot of times a restaurant serve them as red blends. And I personally like red blends. I think they can be really, really fun wines. And they tend to be smoother, interesting, not something that you expect. So it's a wild card, right? And sometimes it can play out pretty well.
Yeah.
So I would definitely give them a go. But when it comes to trying something new, I would probably suggest to start with a Pinot Noir, probably an old world Pinot Noir, just to learn the basics of acidity of a red wine. And that one really teaches you how beautifully a red wine can be on the acidic side. And then if they crave something a little heavier and juicier, I would probably go with any sort of Bordeaux blend just to try it out, especially if they're eating some meat dish with their dinner. Or probably a Napa Cabernet. For me, it's an old-time favorite, and I tend to believe that Napa Cabernets tend to very rarely disappoint.
Yeah,
so I think
for a reason. Yeah.
So in between Pinot Noir and maybe something richer like Bordeaux blend.
Yeah. Oh, that's lovely.
Napa, that would be good.
And I think the order you've mentioned, both the whites and reds, is also really important. To start off with a lighter style Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Noir. And then if you want a second glass, try something a bit heavier like that Chardonnay or like a Cabernet or Bordeaux blend.
I absolutely agree with you. I do have one more advice on this note, actually. If you order wines by glass in a restaurant, I usually tend to ask how long the bottle was open.
Right.
And the reason why I do that is because, well, nobody really wants to drink an old wine, right? Our wine ages well in the bottle while it's still sealed, but once it's open, oxygen gets to it and the wine tends to spoil. So what I do is I ask, sometimes a waiter or waitress would not know, so they would ask the bartender how long the bottle was open. So they give you an estimation. In a good restaurant, they shouldn't be open for too long, but usually if a person doesn't know what to catch on the spoiled wine, like on the nose, for instance, some cork damage or anything like that, they wouldn't know, and their experience would be damaged too, in a sense, because if the wine was open for a while, they will never go back to that Pinot Noir, right? They will never try it again, thinking I should have just stick to my red blend or to my house wine. Or something.
Exactly.
So I think just asking that would be a good reminder.
Yeah, because even just being open for a day can change, the fruits of the wine. And I mean, I'm such a stickler for this. I always ask, how long has the bottle been open?
I do the same thing, and we kind of trust them with this one. Maybe they just tell you, but the good nose, the experienced nose will recognize.
Yeah.
Oxidation, but other folks would not know.
They would just think it's the wine itself, which is sad.
Which is really sad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now moving on to the bubbly. So most people think of French. Oh, how lovely! That's awesome. I'm so glad. So most people think of French champagne when it comes to bubbly. But there are alternatives, and oftentimes more affordable alternatives. So which other of the world's sparkling wines would you recommend beginners try, and what do you like about them?
I love this topic. I really do. I have a lot of recommendations here, but I will stick to my absolute go-to of all times. I love champagne. I don't always like its price tag. Yeah. I think that it's becoming more and more unaffordable, unfortunately, especially for regular occasions, right? Like if it's some big celebration, we can go for it. But my absolute most favorite alternative is cava, Spanish cava.
Okay, yeah.
So I prefer cavas for many reasons. First of all, they are made in the same traditional method as champagne. So you see a lot of similarities when it comes to when you see the bubbles, they come, but I'm just trying to explain in simpler terminology here.
Yeah.
Bubbles are the same, taste notes are the same. So they have the same citrus and like pastry type of taste to them. So very, very pleasantly similar to our champagnes. Now, what's not similar and what's really good about cavas is the price tag. So our average bottle actually goes for anywhere from $10 to $15 versus, a champagne bottle start with $40, $50 plus dollars. So I really, really like cavas. They're very sessionable, I call them. They're very drinkable in a sense that they're not harsh in taste. They're pretty smooth. Price tag is great, and they resemble champagne the most. Yeah. But if you want to give Prosecco's a go, there's some really good Prosecco's too. Cava and Prosecco, I kind of put them in the same category because of the price tag, but there's some differences, very big core differences with its taste and the method that they're produced with. Yeah. What I do suggest too is that if you're really willing to splurge on a bottle of Cava or Prosecco, so if you were to spend, say, $25 instead of 10 or 15 what they normally go by, you would be so surprised. So just that little price difference on such affordable sparkling wine already makes a huge difference. If you want to surprise someone, that would be a really, really good option. So I would say that. And I've tried recently some of the Californian sparkling wines. So Napa sparkling wines are actually coming through on the market too. So if it's someone who wants to explore, I would say explore and go taste them out.
Right.
Try cavas, try proseccos, and then napas, sparkling wines. But the ones who just want to remember one name and don't get disappointed, that's cava for me.
Yeah.
I always recommend
And
that.
for exactly the same reasons as you mentioned, I am such a fan of Method Cup Classiques, which are the sparkling wines from South Africa, my home country, made in the Cape, famous Cape winelands, and also in the same style as champagne. Just obviously cannot be called champagne. So yeah, also extremely affordable, although I haven't seen very many in bottle stores in the United States or in Canada.
It's not that easy to find them. You're correct about that. Unless you go to a specialized store. Let's not give any stores promotions here. I'm not going to. But, you know, we do have specifically specializing stores in wines and liquors, and it's there, I think, where you can ask for them and find them. But other than that, not a common shelf stocker.
Right. But if you do find one alongside cava, I'd absolutely recommend people give it a try because it's a really beautiful wine.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is one of the biggest misconceptions you've encountered from people who are completely new to wine and that might be holding them back?
Ooh, so many.
Yeah.
So many. You know, I will generalize and say that I think the biggest misconception is that there are so many rules to wine.
Yeah.
And it hurts me in the sense because I understand that that stops a lot of people from trying new things and stepping out of their comfort zone or even going for wine. Sometimes they're just like, you know what, I'll just have a beer tonight just because they don't know. And it starts with buying a bottle. We walk into a store and we see just shelves on shelves on shelves with wine. Where does one start? And then it goes to how to properly open the bottle, how to properly pour a glass, what to do once the glass is poured for you, especially if you're in a higher end restaurant. People may get embarrassed because they don't know how to smell the wine and taste the wine properly. And then it moves on, right? It moves on to our food pairings and the list just goes on. So I would say the amount of rules that supposedly are around wine consumption and wine industry in general. And this is one of the reasons why I started doing what I'm doing, is because I really want to let public know that wine can be approachable, it can be easy, and it can and should be fun, because essentially it's all about enjoying what you're drinking. So all of those rules, you know, the way I look at them are recommendations, and I think they should stay there. So it should be recommended to serve wine at a certain temperature. Yes, we should probably listen to the recommendation, but you know what? People shouldn't be stopped from drinking it if it's not that way. Same with food pairings. The food pairing is probably my biggest one, because I personally am a pescatarian, so I don't eat meat, for instance. And when somebody tells me, oh, you should have that with a steak. Well, no, I'm going to enjoy this with my salmon, you know, or I'm going to enjoy this with a tofu dish or something, and I will still enjoy the wine. So food helps us get the taste of wine a little bit differently sometimes. And I think it's absolutely beautiful, especially if you eat local food from a local wine area, for instance, or wherever something grows, you know, it grows and goes well together too. So that's a beautiful combo. But to stick to a specific set of rules saying that white wine should never be drunk with meats and reds shouldn't be consumed with fish, it's just, that, in my opinion, was what is the biggest misconception on the market right now. Just a lot of rules. I think we should debunk them and make wine more.
There are no rules, only guidelines to help you enjoy your wine to, you know, its maximum potential, which is to say that certain wines go better with certain foods. But if you like a Bordeaux with the hake fillets, I mean, who's to judge? It's all up to you. Do whatever you want. You know, no one's in your mouth experiencing what you experience. It's all up to you.
100%. Preach, Steve. Preach.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for answering that. And so can you also please take a moment to tell our audience about your YouTube channel, My Wine Diary, and where they can reach you if they want to talk to you or ask you questions or just connect with you?
Absolutely. My Wine Diary is a newer channel. I've had it for less than a year now. And the idea behind it was exactly what I said earlier, is to make wine more fun and more approachable, to debunk all of those myths around wine industry, make it easy to enjoy, really. So on my channel, I do all sorts of educational videos about wine. I do tastings, I do reviews, I collaborate with different wineries. I do vlogging from wine tours and visiting some wineries as well. So it's a fun channel, and it would mean everything to me if people subscribe, because it's still growing, and it means a lot for me to get the message through to the audience. And then I have some. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've checked out quite a few of your videos, and they are really good, really beautifully filmed. It's so like interesting, and lots of important information. So
I really appreciate you say that. Any comment, honestly, every single acknowledgement of the work that goes into it means a lot to me. And then I also have my Instagram page, which is connected to my name still. It's not my wine diary. It's Super Dasha with double R in between. So Super, another R, and my name Dasha. It is linked to my YouTube channel too, so you can find it through there as well. I'm actually very frequent on my Instagram, so I appear there pretty much every single day, do a lot of posts. A lot of them people get bookmarked just to go back to later and remember some of the fun facts about wine and food pairings.
Okay, awesome. Great. Well, Dasha, thank you so much. You've given us some great guidance on how people can get started exploring the world of wine. And thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. Okay, bye. Well, there you have it. After talking to Dasha, I hope you feel you have the tools and the advice you need to be a little braver and start venturing further into the world of red, white, and sparkling wines. And don't forget to check out her YouTube channel, My Wine Diary, details provided below. I also really encourage you to check out Brainscape's Wine Academy, where you'll discover a library of super helpful wine guides for people of all experience levels. And if you're interested in taking your knowledge to professional heights with a WSET or CMS qualification, get the Brainscape web and mobile app to help you learn about wine really efficiently. Alternatively, you can just use Brainscape to keep track of your wine adventures by making your own flashcards. Finally, don't forget to watch and like the other videos we have on the Brainscape Wine channel, and subscribe to get notified when a new video drops. And that's it. Between the Brainscape app, our Wine Academy, and the thousands of other subjects you can study efficiently on our platform, you've got the learning tools you need to rise to any challenge.